All right, peace and much love, Zin Uru here. Welcome to the latest message from the Minista. This week's message from the Minista is be still and know. Be still and know. I want to welcome y'all here this week. Wow, what a week, huh? I see people keep coming in. See more and more of you here each week. It always puts a smile on my face. Know that just seeing you and knowing that you're watching this video somewhere in the future in some far off land from where I am, we are all here together in spirit. And so being that we're all here together in spirit, like I can feel your energy. I can feel that warmth. It's energizing my body. It's focusing my mind. It's stilling my environment. Be still and know. I speak to my environment like this, even my body, be still and know, vibrating this frequency out. And so as we're all here together and gathered, you're here as well, meaning we're all here together in oneness. So let us each just take this moment and be still and know. Yeah, you feel that? You feel that stillness that we're all sharing in together? It's amazing because this is something about group meditation and group work and really just the energetic work of group work. Why it's so profound is because when we're in a situation, say like you go into a group meditation and there's 10 or 15 people in the same group and they're either in a circle or however it's arranged, but everyone is meditating. And there's probably some music playing and maybe somebody's guiding the meditation or each person is sitting in stillness and in quietude in their own meditation. But if you've ever experienced an event like that, you'll notice that our own meditations start syncopating with the meditations of those around us. That our meditation is able to get deeper by the meditational vibrational frequency of those around us who are also in their meditation. And what to me about that's the greatest gift besides living in the moment of that is that feeling and that knowing of getting into a deeper state of meditation with others around. You carry that same depth with you when you're with yourself, And I've been meditating for years and years, I probably told the story a few times on these messages from the minister. So, I started meditating way back when I was about 13 years old and I took my first Weichi-Ru Karate Do class. And about 4 months into it, I got into class that day and all the curtains were drawn. And I opened the door and somebody met me there and, asked me to, everybody be quiet. Me and my friend got there and the whole dojo was dark, but there was candles burning and there was flute music playing, like, Zen flute. And it was just something new. And so we were instructed to go and sit down and just be still, And we did. I just sat there and had my eyes kind of closed, didn't really know the breathing techniques or the proper way to do this or that, but just sitting there in that stillness, being still and knowing in that moment. I had a profound experience that really reshaped or helped shape the rest of my life. Something that I've carried with me nonstop since then, since being 13 years old, And it's gone through various forms, but it's really kind of the same. It's kind of the same experience in that way. That night I had a very deep meditation and my brain was going everywhere like, what's going on? This is kind of funny. What are we doing? Am I going to hell? All these, no, you're not going to hell for meditating, nobody. Well, I guess it depends on what you're meditating on, huh? So, I just sat there in that Zen meditation mode and started taking that with me wherever I'd go in life, even at school and in class. I started realizing that my life could be a meditation. And as I started, studying the Tao Jeet Kune Do by Bruce Lee and realizing that there is stillness in motion, that's what I want to bring into this conversation tonight, is though we are saying be still and know that I am God. Being still, of course, is being still and just being still and turning off the sounds or focusing on one meditative sound. Solfeggio frequencies are great for this. I use the pure tone solfeggio frequencies all the time because they tune the body's frequencies to where they're supposed to be. But in that, it's not just about being still and sitting there in meditation and quietness, although it is that. It's not just that. Because there is a stillness in our day-to-day life that when we're really centered in on our wholeness, we're really centered in on our purpose, we're really centered in on our true selves and who we truly are, there's a stillness that we experience in that space. That it could be the busiest time of the year. It could be the busiest day at work. It could be your busiest day at school. You could be up on stage performing. You could be in traffic driving. You could be running a marathon. You could be typing your book up. You could be in the studio recording and getting hype. But there's a stillness that is within each of us, this center that is so empowering because everything reverberates out from that center, from that still center, from that still small voice within our head. It's a vibrational frequency within our being. And over the years, as I've gotten closer and closer to it, I've realized that just by setting that, the center up, the vibrational frequency through the center, it starts resounding out. And it just naturally harmonizes the lungs, it naturally harmonizes the shoulders, the arms, the fingers, the foot, the environment, the pad, the paper, whatever it is that you're doing. So be mindful of that in our lives, that as this message is going forward, be still and know. Know that your stillness doesn't require just sitting still, although it does at times require sitting still. It's not just sitting still. There is stillness in action. There is stillness in motion. There is the hip that's being hopped. And hop can be still. We never stop moving, ever. You could sit there in meditation and little fidget here, nose fidgets. You got to breathe, so your whole respiratory system is moving, blood's moving, heart's beating. Eyes are adjusting to any little light flicker if there's a candle. Ears are picking up sounds and vibrating. So the whole body is alive and electric and moving, even when sitting in meditation. So stillness is a state of being that isn't like we want to become these are animate. And I don't really believe in inanimate objects because there's no stillness even in this license plate here. This license plate, this Christ license plate from North Dakota, the Peace Garden State. This Discover the Spirit, Christ, North Dakota, Peace Garden State. Okay? So as this is alive, it's vibrating a frequency of color. It's vibrating a frequency of sound. There could be with certain instruments, the sound of this could be measured. And there's molecules and particles that are moving. They just are moving so slow and they're so dense that it appears that it's solid. However, if it just stayed here, 100 years go by, 200 years go by, all those little particles that are moving, this would begin to deteriorate. Certain oxides in the paint that was used in this will start to deteriorate over time. It's not even as shiny as it was. Of course, it was driven around with on Dr. Apollo's vehicle, but it's lost its shine in that way. Now it's going to last a while, but it's still in motion, but it's still. Just like us, we are still, even when we're being still, we have all of this energy that's being moved around. And for me, just for those of my fellow meditators out there, being still, I really find this place where it's part of the game, part of the fun of being still and really not letting the spine waver. Finding the center of the spine and just feeling the strength of the spine as it supports itself like it's floating. And then the body, instead of being rigid, the body is liquid water and it's just relaxed. And the breath is the same way. So the breath is moving in and out freely. Whatever the breathing exercise that you're going to use is when you're in meditation. Now, when we go out in the world, I've had moments of time, and there's moments where you find that when you're out in the world, things can be happening all around you at a rapid pace. And you're just seeing things moving around almost like in the Matrix vision. Everybody's moving slow, but bullets are whipping by you, but everything's kind of in this slow motion. But you're able to see it and move in it in that slow motion. The teacher used to tell me that happened to him on stage. He said everything just slows down. He said this publicly. So I was sitting there one time with him on stage. We were in Spain, in Malaga, in Spain, right there on the ocean. Beautiful city. Shout out to Spain. One of the just beautiful countries Spain is. So we were in this beautiful city called Malaga, right by the sea, and I got to be a side man that night. I got to be the hype man that night. And I don't know, somewhere through the set, actually pretty early on, everything just slowed down, and I felt like I was rapping like this. And I was like, hey, ho, and the audience is moving slow, and I was like, wow. This is the morphogenetic field where time and space slows down. They say that used to happen for Joe Montana too. That the game of football would slow down for him. He was just able to see and do things, even though he wasn't the fastest quarterback. He didn't have the longest arm. He did have nice accuracy, but I grew up watching Joe Montana, right? I mean, I'm from the Bay Area. Joe Montana was the golden one. I mean, he was he was the man growing up in the Bay Area back when the 49ers had their run. And, every year it was going to be Dan Marino was going to take Joe out, or John Elway's going to take Joe out, or I think Randall Cunningham, and all these quarterbacks were always going to, not Randall Cunningham, but Warren Moon, all these great quarterbacks who could just bomb a football, down the field, and it was just these sailing beautiful spirals down there. You'd see Joe doing these quick little passes. They'd be flipping and flopping and stuff. He had a great arm, but he's a professional NFL quarterback. But what made Joe so special was just the way that he moved and the game came to him. He didn't look spectacular doing it, but he was like out of the matrix in that space. He just moved in a different time and space than everybody else. And I believe that that's not just a gift that some people are born with, although it is a gift for those who are born with it naturally, or something happens and they just tune into it. But I believe that that's just a natural state of being for all of us. And that because the world's got us moving around at a frequency that we've heightened up our frequency, but our real true frequency, there's a stillness there. There's a stillness. There's a still waters of life, And I want to invite you, my nobility, to the still waters of life of the promised land. Okay? You don't become lazy. You become more energized. You don't get less done. You actually get more done, because there is a stillness and there's an accuracy. And when the mind is still, the mind knows when to act. The mind knows when to perform. The mind knows the hip knows when to hop. Does your hip, so we asked the question, are you hip to your hop? So now the second question, let's ask this. Does your hip know when to hop? Does your hip know when to hop? Are you hip to your hop? And does your hip know when to hop? Do you know when to intelligently move, not just move? They call this the illusion of action, where people are so busy doing things that they're literally, the thing they want to accomplish is getting further and further away, because people get so busy and they're trying so hard to make something happen, and it's not happening. It's the illusion of action. It's what Yoda was telling Luke in The Empire Strikes Back, when they're on Dagobah, and Yoda's talking to Luke, and he's like, try or, do or do not. There is no try, right? Teaching Luke to be centered and still and balanced while he's performing action, while he's moving to still his mind. George Lucas, he got that from somewhere. He didn't just get everything he got from reading, The Hero's Quest. His name is slipping my mind. The man who came up with the heroes, Joseph Campbell. All of George Lucas's ideas didn't just come from Joseph Campbell. George Lucas also got his ideas from Eastern philosophy. And so when you watch Star Wars, that was an introduction to the Tao Te Ching and Zen and Buddhism for most of the Western world, right? That may even been before Bruce Lee for me. I don't know. Would that movie come out in 78 or something like that? I was like 5 or 6. So, I saw it, 79, I think I saw it when they re-released it. I don't know. I was young, seeing Star Wars. If I was young seeing Bruce Lee, so I don't remember. I just remember just the idea of stillness coming to me at a young age. And, the TV show Kung Fu would talk about this as well. But the idea is that with the illusion of action that's taking place, a lot of people, they think they're using their brain too much. They're using their thinking cognitive abilities, which are great, but they need to be kept in their place. That by doing certain things, they're going to make things happen. Like men do this all the time. Like there's a breakup, right? And the girl leaves. And then the guy just thinks, if I just keep pursuing her, she'll come back. If I just keep calling her, if I just keep writing her. And women do it to men too. But, brothers don't, this is something that happens. And instead, and thinking, if I just keep acting, if I just keep calling her, if I just keep pushing forward, she's going to want to interact with me. She's going to need to see that she needs to interact with me. And all that does is just keeps pushing her away, even though you're trying to pull her closer back. It's better to, instead of the illusion of action, to just pull back and wait, be still and wait. That's just been my experience, and not just with women, but with just anything in life that's trying to get away from you. Be still and wait. Let it come back around. Things move in cycles. Time only appears to be linear, but time is vibrating. Time is cyclic. Time moves in cycles. Okay, what goes around comes around, they say. So the more we, the illusion of action, the more we push things and things got to happen. You got to perform true action to make things happen. You got to be hip to your hop, which is intelligent movement. But it's almost, what I'm talking about is when people are just hopping around, hop, 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 and don't understand why nothing's getting done. And they're saying, this is my purpose, and my purpose is to put together my album. And then they're hopping around, doing everything, but getting the album done. And 2 years go by, 3 years go by, 4 years go by, 5 years go by, and it's the same excuses from people. They're hop, 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 but they're not doing intelligent movement. They're performing the illusion of action. They're buying the things. They're writing. They're working on their rhymes. They're thinking about it all the time. Okay? So it's really about focusing and honing our center. This is the stillness now. The stillness is our center. Now we can just aim our center where it needs to go. We are in our center. And the center is a vortex, right? Abraham Hicks talks about the vortex, in jiu-jitsu, I had a professor explain the vortex, that our center is just the vortex, and we're just moving around and just keep that center there, moving around. And even if the center's down here or up here, even if it's over here, just always come into that center and move everything around that center. And he had 10 of us try and grab him and pull him off center, right? So we were all in there. He was circled around by 10 of us, and he just started dancing around. This dude was 70 years old, right? And he was a big dude and a heavy dude. But there was big dudes in our class and heavy dudes in our class. And so we're grabbing him hard and trying to pull him, and he just all, whoosh, and we're flying all over the place. Now, we're not throwing kicks and punches. We're just trying to grab him and pull him off of his center. Grab a grown man by other grown men and grab him off the center. And he was just moving in such a way that some of us are falling over, we're bumping into walls, and he's just moving. And it was in a vortex that he was moving. And he's just moving in his toroidal field, if you really want to get savvy with it. The toroidal field. And he even called it something else. He called it I'll see if I can remember what he called it. He called it a whirly-woo. A vortex, a whirly-woo, or something like that he called it. And so, it's a very powerful place to be, because he was smiling, he was active, he was moving us around, and we were following. And so then we practiced that. We started practicing just staying in our center and letting everything move off of that. That's the same thing if you're rapping. It's the same thing if you're out in life driving. Stay in your center and let life move around you. You can direct yourself through life. You can even direct life. You get into an environment, you can start directing life as well when you're centered. And this, and I've been talking a lot about centeredness as the masculine, as the phallic. Remember, women have masculine sides too, or they have masculine attributes too. I mean, this is archaic language even that we're using this English in that way. But to be in the center, to be in the masculine, to be strong, to be erect, to be out there in public, you'll with your head up and your shoulders up, and you speak in a certain way. You don't got to get aggressive with nobody. You can be really peaceful, but people will respect you. People will answer your questions. People will come to your aid and your assistance when you sit there like, hey, I need aid and assistance. I was out in Europe, and all of a sudden they had this whole thing where no gas station in a protest against the government was going to take any credit cards or ATM cards. And that's how we was getting around Europe, and had to drive from Paris to Spain with no cash and no way to get cash. They shut down the ATMs, everything, and we're out of gas. And so I sat there. I already knew from years of touring that God's going to have the immediate answer in my environment, because God always does that, right? And so I was just sitting there like this, and this woman comes right up to us, and I knew right away she was going to be the answered prayer. She was going to be the angel. Asked for a light for her cigarette, and she's like, oh, what are you guys doing? I said, actually, we're stranded out here. She's like, you're stranded? Oh, no. I said, yeah, they're not taking the cards, we're from the United States, and I don't, we got to get back to Spain, and what are we going to do? And so she says, well, I'm a Buddhist, and part of what my Buddhist practice is to help strangers in need. And she says, I actually have an envelope of money that I save to help strangers in need. And I said, what? Thank you, God. God is great. God is good all the time in all ways. And so this woman, I'm sitting there in my center knowing, not even for a moment moving from the center, knowing that the angel is coming, knowing. And my nobility, hear me when I say this. This took me faith to get to this place to where the situation is, I need this prayer answered, or this need is to be met as soon as possible. I'm going to stay in my center and knowing, and not allow the thinking of others in the crew around me, not let anybody else, not let any stray thoughts move me from my center, from my stillness, from my place of stillness. And she immediately came up, this Buddhist woman, and had an envelope to help a stranger, which just happened to be yours truly. So she gives us this money, gives us her email address. We tell her when we're getting back I say, I'm getting back to the United States in about a month. She says, that's perfect. I do need this money back. This is a loan, but I'm just so happy I can help you. And so I gave her my email address, and here's my email address. Make sure you email me too. If you don't hear from me, make sure you email me. And so got back to the United States, and I sent her 2 or 3 emails to get her PayPal information. I never heard back from her. But I had money set aside on my altar for her, and it took a while. I went through some times where I wanted to grab that money, but ended up giving her money back when she needed it. She sent an email, and she's like, hey, remember me? Thank you so, I was just wondering if you could pay me back now. And I had the money ready. I was like, here you go. What's your thing? And sent her, the PayPal link or whatever it was right away. This is all being centered. This is being centered in knowing thyself. Know who you are and what you are about. And this is also about integrity. See, because when we're centered, we're in our integrity. Okay? This wall structure has integrity because of the way that it's balanced. Okay? It's not as much that it's the energy of the weight of the roof is centered through these support beams that are the walls. The weight of the roof is centered in such a way that those support beams hold straight and are centered, and they hold up that structure. You can have curve, you can have these type things like or even an X that holds up the structure, like table legs or a park bench as well. So it's not just about being up straight to be centered. It's the weight being centered. And feel that, a lot of people think of balance like the scales of justice, 50-50 is balance. No, we say this every week, I got 70% of weight on my front leg and I got 30% on my back leg. Now I got 99% on my back leg and I've got 1% on my tippy toe. I'm balanced with 70-30. I'm balanced 99-1. I'm balanced when I'm centered 50-50. You see what I'm saying? Be balanced in our motion. Be still in our motion. And this to me is the process where miracles just happen. I needed the gas money. She pulled out her phone and had a calculator on her phone that figured out what the rest of the trip was going to be, how long it was going to take, and then she calculated it out and then gave me the money and gave a little bit of extra for food. Because by the time we got out of France and into Spain, Spain wasn't having the same problems. The ATMs were good to go. So, as you're walking through life, never underestimate your position in life. Never underestimate the power you have in life through your center, through your stillness, through your knowing, through your being. We have this innate power in life. And, I say it every week. It's just, we know the powers that want to be, they want to take us and strip us of this power and say that we are less than we actually are. And this week, I'll put a link down at the bottom of this for those who want to go further into the rabbit hole. I watched a 6-hour presentation these last couple days about an energy grid through cathedrals, through mosques, through temples, through libraries, through castles, through all of these structures of the old world. And these structures are in Asia, Europe, South America, North America, all the way up to Canada, through Africa. There's certain way of architecture and structure. And it's like an energy grid. This guy goes through and shows how the entire world was an interconnected energy grid. And we are being so lied to about the history of what we came from. And the reason that they lie about all of that history, the reason that they steal, the reason that they distort, the reason that they manipulate, all of that reason, the reason is to keep us from knowing who and what we are. Because when we look and say, you mean that cathedral wasn't a quote-unquote Christian church, that before the Christians came and made it into a Christian church, that cathedral with that giant pipe organ had channels of water running through it that went into the city, and it was structuring the water, and that the granite and the copper and that the copper and the iron and the crystal that was put in, the quartz that was put into these buildings were energy generators, and not like literal energy generators that could light up a building. Okay? I mean, groundbreaking. This is the newest, like in 5 years, as this gains momentum, as this way of thinking and seeing and being, as we uncover our true origins of who we are as a people, a united people, a holy people, a wholly integrated people, have an omnipresent power, hip-hoppers. As we uncover more and more of who we are, and we see that everything, like I was saying last week, like every single thing you were taught is a lie. There's only one conclusion that comes to it, because if they showed us and we knew how these energy grids work with free energy and harmonics with the energy, why are we paying bills then? Why are we paying PG&E with all this toxic electrical, conduit that's running everything through the walls and things like this? Why aren't we using, the real energy that our real ancestors knew about, not these fake colonized liar ancestors that they've made up? They just make people up and call them historical figures and write them in books and give a black and white picture 100 years ago, and then everybody thinks, oh, they must have been telling the truth 100 years ago because they wrote it in a book. What, they didn't lie? Like lying just got invented recently with television? No, lying been going on for a long time. People have been lying in books for a long time. Don't believe me? Watch the video. 6 hours. Do yourself a favor. Now, the reason that we're bringing this up, because in our stillness, in our wholeness, in our center, when we be still and know who we are, be still and know that I am God. That is the divine command. Be still and know that I am God. Okay? That the I am is God. That the I am of all. You're the God of your own body in that way. Not the creator of all the heavens and the universe and all that it is, no. But as a child of God, you have sovereignty to speak to your body. Speak out if you have an illness, speak it out of existence. Vibrate at a faster frequency than the illness. Vibrate at a frequency that annihilates and shatters the illness, that just breaks apart the illness. That's how powerful we are as human beings. And they want to keep our energetic bodies, they want to keep us away from energy because they want to drain our energy. And if we actually think about energy and realize that our energy is being drained, we're not going to give them our energy anymore. These so-called elite, they think they're on the rise, but that's their lie. They're on their way down. They're falling right now. The reason they're having to push and become public and make this last push is because they're going down. The devil's going down. Minister Farrakhan, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan warned everybody last year in 2020. I suggest you go listen to his message of 2020. And he warned everybody that the devil is going down and is trying to take as many people with him as he can. Don't go down with the devil. I say it every week. The New World Order sat on the wall. The New World Order had a great fall. If you stand with the New World Order, you will fall with the New World Order. And what is the New World Order? It's the mainstream media. It's the mainstream politics. It's the mainstream religions. It's the mainstream music. That's the New World Order. It's the mainstream financial system, the one world government. That's the New World Order. So to listen to what they're saying and to follow what they're saying, when they fall, you will fall with them. It's physics. It's not even God's judgment. It's just physics. The physics of finite thinking produces finite results. The physics of infinite thinking produces infinite results. So if you know you're infinite, when we wake up to our infinitude, when we wake up to our infinity, when we wake up to our infinite being, our wholeness, our oneness, our center, our stillness, our true nature of who and what we are, all of creation recognizes this about us. From the heavens to the earth. All of creation, because why? We are at one with creation. We are creation itself. So if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling scared, if you're feeling hurt, if you're feeling confused, rise the fuck up. Quit feeling depressed, hurt, and confused. That's on you. You've got way more power than that. And you need to step up, put your big boy pants on, put your big girl pants on, and start getting into your true nature of empowerment. We need to be in our empowerment, my nobility. Quit whining, quit crying, quit being disappointed, quit being depressed. So it didn't work out the way you thought it did. That's life. Life does not work out the way you think it's going to work out. Life is not at your command. I don't care how many of these, law of attraction teachers and all these people running around espousing all this spiritual gifts of abundance and but they want to leave God out of it. I don't care what they tell you, that life doesn't owe you anything. Life doesn't owe you anything. You will have an experience in life, okay? You will have an experience in life. And there's a lot of people running around. There's a lot of people running around with the riches and the wealth and the fame of the world. They got the world at their fingertips. And that world, that what they have at their fingertips is headed for a crash. They're in the most beautiful Lamborghini, right? And they're headed towards a brick wall. And all these spiritual people sitting there going, I wish I was in a Lamborghini headed towards a brick wall. What's wrong with me, God? I thought that if I just visualized it and thought about it long enough, I'd be in a Lamborghini headed towards a brick wall. God's protecting you. That's why you're not in a Lamborghini headed towards a brick wall. You might not even see the brick wall, right? And just be going, why am I not in a Lamborghini, huh? Shouldn't I be in a Lamborghini? Don't I deserve a Lamborghini? Hey, if you got a Lamborghini, cool. But I'm just saying, that Lamborghini I'm talking about is headed towards a brick wall, okay? And you don't want to be in the Lamborghini headed towards a brick wall. No matter how nice that Lamborghini is, it's going to hit a brick wall. You can cry to God and worry about yourself all day and, life's not fair, and this isn't how I envisioned this, and this isn't how I tried to manifest this, and whine and cry about it all day, but God's protecting you. That's why you ain't in the Lamborghini headed towards a brick wall, because God's protecting you. There's nothing sadder for me than seeing grown men and women acting like children. Acting like children, wanting the same thing at 18 years old as they do with the 50 years old. 35-year-olds still being the same as when they're 18. That's a wasted life. If you want the same things that you wanted at 18, unless it was peace, love, unity, having fun, joy, patience, the fruits of the Spirit at 18, But even that deepens as we get older. Even our overstanding of that my overstanding of faith at 48 compared to 18 is way different. It's grown leaps and bounds. There's so much immaturity that is accepted in society because we are being conditioned as a people, being conditioned by television, advertising, movies to act and behave like 12 and 13-year-olds constantly. Adolescents. I watch these game shows with, or you see these, The Bachelor, or these things. These are grown human beings acting like high schoolers. These are grown human beings acting like they're in grade school still. All of these stupid competitions. This so-called reality TV. Just acting like children, man. It's embarrassing. It's just embarrassing to see dudes be acting like children all the time. When are you supposed to grow up? When are you supposed to be a man? When are you supposed to be a woman? I'm just asking. Got a little bit of reading to do this week. Wanted to read from Perform Faith, and also an excerpt from the Tao Te Ching. And let's get to that right now. Be still and know. I want to talk about, put it up here on the screen here, and then we'll finish the lesson because I got a couple things to talk about here. I just wanted to take a break from what I was saying there just to get into some philosophy here from the teacher. This is Perform Faith. If you have a copy of the Gospel of Hip Hop, it's on page 170. This is Divine Performance number 9. And we'll just read the couple pages here that it is, just as a great reminder. And while I'm talking about being in our center, being in the stillness, this is faith. Faith is a river you could walk on. Faith is the stillness that no matter what happens, earlier I was talking about that situation in Europe, in France more specifically, where, we had, the angel came and gave us money for gas to get back to Spain. In my stillness, it was still my faith in knowing that God was going to send somebody to help us immediately. This is where it comes from. This is faith. This is where the stillness comes from. It comes from faith. Divine performance number 9, perform faith. Demonstrate your faith. Do not live exclusively by your natural reasoning or believe exclusively what your senses tell you. Live by faith. Faith is not just a belief in unseen things. It is an unconditional confirmation of the finished work. You see that, my nobility? It's an unconditional confirmation of the finished work. It is a knowing or expectancy that comes from living a spiritual and virtuous life. Faith is not an invisible thing. It is a very visible thing. It has physical effects. In fact, faith is the invisible substance of visible things. There's a shirt to make people think. Faith is the invisible substance of visible things. Faith is simply what you perceive as real. Is God real to you? Are God's abilities real to you? Whatever you believe your God can actually do shall be done. Because of unrighteous and non-spiritual living, if you do not truly perceive your spirit abilities and the strength of your God, then it is your own doubt that weakens the supernatural abilities of your own spirit over the material world. Live a virtuous life, and every month do something or say something that requires faith. Practice faith. Expect results. As an example, as simple and as easy as it is to faithfully order food from a restaurant, you should likewise faithfully order health, love, awareness, and or wealth from the universe. In this example, the universe is the restaurant. When you know that you have money to eat, you effortlessly and confidently enter the restaurant, sit down, and order whatever you have a taste for. Such is the same with spiritual living. When you know that you have an abundance of spiritual money, faith, the effects of righteousness, virtuous living, helpfulness, patience, etc., you boldly order from the universe those things that you need. Just as easily as you might order a beer from a bar with the confidence that comes from righteous living, order for yourself peace and prosperity with the same expectancy. Point to the unseen and translate the unheard. Practice exercising your faith by ordering things in faith. Temple members are united in the faith that hip-hop is God's response to our suffering. Our faith as hip-hoppers is established through our trust in the divinity of our unique historical experiences. At the heights of our faith knowing, we believe that our God has called a new nation into being, and we are they who are called of God. We are a new people, a truly free people. We are not subjugated to the blessings, curses, or prophecies of other nations and faiths. God is dealing with us right now. Today, we are a wholly integrated people who have an omnipresent power, hip-hop. The truly attuned hip-hopper performs and walks in this faith, this knowing. Those who walk in this faith and both regularly and randomly perform acts of this faith are truly inspired and rarely depressed. They are joyous and strong while others remain anxious and weak. They are at peace even when others are afraid. These are the effects of faith. For God is an exact God. Those that live by faith need not an abundance of anything. They always have exactly what they need, exactly when they need it. In fact, this is the abundance. Let's say that again, my nobility. They always have exactly what they need, exactly when they need it. In fact, this is the abundance. And you could write this down as an affirmation. I always have exactly what I need, exactly when I need it. I always have exactly what I need when I need it. I always have exactly what I need, exactly when I need it. You could write that as an affirmation and say that to yourself over and over again. Never too soon, never too late, never too much, and never too little. The faithful always have exactly enough. Faith and the knowing that comes from righteous living eliminates fear and doubt. And likewise, fear and doubt caused by ignorance and unrighteous living eliminate faith. Decide right now which of the two you shall serve. Fear or faith, doubting or knowing, surviving or living. Practice faith by performing random acts of faith in troubling situations. Be still and know that your God is God. That's why I chose this right here, my nobility. Practice faith by performing random acts of faith. This right here, in troubling situations, be still and know that your God is God. Store up your spiritual money, faith, in righteous, virtuous living, and then order whatever you need from the universe. Immerse yourself in something that your God must follow up on to complete. Believe in your God. Expect the presence, power, and activity of your God. Believe God, not the world. Regularly perform faith. Accumulate and then spend your spiritual faith money wisely. Bruce Barton reminds us that the ablest men in all walks of life are men of faith. Most of them have much more faith than they themselves realize. Perform faith. Be still and know that God is God. In any troubling situation, it could be a troubled mind, a troubled heart, a troubled spirit, a troubled soul. There could be like trouble literally at your doorstep. Be still and know that God is God. Be in that stillness and know that God is God. I always have exactly what I need, exactly when I need it. That's the stillness that we're talking about. I always have exactly what I need, exactly when I need it. So if you're sitting there in meditation and worry and fear comes to you, I always have exactly what I need when I need it. So whatever that empowerment is just chases the fear or the anxiety or the stress. It just leaves the body. It vibrates at, really what it does is it vibrates at a faster frequency and it becomes the harmonic vibration at that point. The stress is moving slower and denser. And so when the faster harmonic vibration of faith hits it, it just vibrates with the faith now. It just restructures the doubt and the fear and the anxiety, and then the faith is all that's expressed. Be still and know that God is God. I always have everything I need. I have exactly what I need, exactly when I need it. Be still and know that God is God. You know? That one's great on an airplane when you hit the turbulence. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, we're experiencing a little turbulence. You're like, just be still and know that God is God. And I'll see myself just be still and know that God is God, and that every mind is in harmonic convergence with my mind, putting out the higher vibrational frequency of God's safety and protection, right? Because God uses us as God's vessels. So God's going to need anyone in any environment to be the vessel of God in that way. So when you walk into a situation and you could still and calm the environment and that situation without saying a word, just by being still and knowing that God is God, you become the dominant frequency. You're the dominant frequency in that environment. That stillness is profound. You can stop an accident from happening. You can stop somebody from doing harm to themselves. And it's not you doing anything. It's God doing it through you. We become the resonance chambers of God. We become the resounding, reverberating, revibrating, voice of God in that way, in those environments. Be still and know that I am God. That's the divine commandment. That's in the Bible. Be still and know that God is God. That's what the teacher's asking and saying and teaching in the gospel of hip hop, and perform faith. Faith, be still and know that God is God. That's the definition of faith, being still and knowing that God is God. Now, You get into God as God, people are going to experience injustice. You know, people are getting, karma comes around for people, so-called karma. Get into that forgiveness. That forgiveness will stop karma from coming for you. Forgiveness, true forgiveness will save you from karma. It just dissolves karma. True forgiveness does. So my nobility, going out and about in our lives, and if people bring in their worries to you and their doubts and their fears, be still and know that God is God. Listen. Have a kind word. Don't get caught up in their energy frequencies. Don't get caught up in their gamma waves. Don't get caught up in their, oh my gosh, this is all happening. And you start going, it is? What's happening? And they're like, this. And you're like, it is? Oh, I didn't know. Now it's happening to me too. It happens all the time to people. You know it. But if you can sit there and be still, people, and I'm telling you this too, there's chemicals in our body that, like zinc. I've noticed that the stillness of my body, after 2 weeks of zinc, last week I've been on zinc about a week, and now it's been 2 weeks of just normal zinc. I take like 20 milligrams of zinc every day. I don't even take the whole recommended dosage, but it's stilled my body in such a way that the stillness I've cultivated in the mind and body and spirit is like this just wholeness here. So if you are feeling certain anxieties and you've been meditating, you've been trying and using your mind power, look into your diet. Turmeric helps with that. The zinc is very, very important, especially for the immune system. I wanted to say that to my nobility. We're coming up into the winter, and some people have talked about there's this dark winter coming, right? And a lot of people are getting sick, and those who got the jab and those who didn't get the jab getting sick right now. I just got to say, whatever you've done in your life, make sure you keep your immune system healthy and well and strong. Don't forget about the power of intermittent fasting. Let each meal, each day fully digest. Let the food of each day fully digest for like 12 to 16 hours before you ingest more food. You can do liquids, teas, or soups, but give yourself, 12, a minimum 12 hours. Really minimum 10, but 12 hours is the sweet spot. Anything over 12 hours gets the body really cleansed out. If you do start developing the sniffles or something, double, triple, quadruple up on the zinc, the vitamin D, the vitamin C. Get that vitamin C from freshly squeezed orange juice, not even the freshly squeezed from a box. Go get some oranges and squeeze them. Or go to the Whole Foods or whatever and spend the $5 on a freshly squeezed juice, orange juice or tangerine juice. And then when you're drinking the juice, chew the juice. People don't talk about this. I see people getting these big, powerful juices all the time. I'm juicing. But they're not creating enough saliva to break down the juice, so the body's just going to piss it out, The body doesn't absorb all that juice if there's not enough saliva to break down that much juice. You got a head of lettuce and 10 carrots and, 2 apples and some ginger and a whole lemon and whatever else is in, and 2 beets in the juice. That's like a cornucopia of fruit and vegetables in 1 glass of juice. It takes a lot of saliva to break all that down. Now, you don't have the fiber to break down with the saliva, okay? So if you chewed an apple, you want to thoroughly chew the food, and then the saliva will break down the fibers in the food, and then the body will do that. So if you're juicing the apples, you want to chew the juice and then down. Chew the juice. It sounds funny to say, but it works so good because what's happening is you're giving the juice enough saliva so when it goes into the body, it's going to be able to break that juice and you're going to get the maximum benefit from the nutrients going into the body. This goes for all foods as well. Chew your food slowly. You won't need as much food when you chew slowly, okay? This is a discipline that goes way back, and I've been doing this one for years. But most people who eat with me, they see I eat slower than most other people. Every once in a while, I'll hork it down too, because I grew up in a society where you take the whole piece of pizza, and you chew it enough to swallow it, right? But that's not how our ancestors did it. We didn't have this much food available all the time. We didn't need this much food. Imagine 70% of the food that we eat, if even that, gets turned to waste. That's because we're not chewing enough. We should chew all of our food I think they say 100 times. I don't know what the exact amount is, but, chew your food until it's broken down and then swallow the food. I do this with salads. I get like the mixed green spinach and salads, and I don't put no dressing on it or anything, but I chew it until it's become like green juice in my mouth, and then I swallow it. I'll just throw the lettuce in and swallow half a piece of lettuce at the stomach, so I got to break down the whole half a piece of lettuce. Whatever, the more we can break down in our jaw and our mouth of our food, the less work our body has to do to break that food down. And most of the time, by the time it processes through the intestines, it hasn't even broken the food down to its base principles and started giving nutrition to the body. It's just waste, and turns to fat on people. Most people are fat is because they don't chew their food. They inhale it like a dog or an animal or a bovine or a pig or something, And we're not designed to do that. We're intelligent beings. We're hip hop. We're intelligent movement. We need to chew our food. That helps build up the immune system too. It has two benefits. You can eat a whole lot less food and still maintain your body weight and vitality and get all the nutrients you need by eating less food because you chew more. It also gets the nutrients to the body, which builds up the immune system. The stomach isn't trying to break down food because it's already broken down. So the stomach is where most of the immune system is, like 90% or something of our immune system is in our stomach. This is why intermittent fasting works so good to get rid of disease. Because you just don't have any food. The stomach doesn't have to work on breaking down food. So it's able to the immune system kick in. It's able to do the things the immune system does. I'm saying this because it's starting to get cold. The winter's coming. People are getting sick. Stay up on the vitamins. Stay up on the nutrients. Stay up on the food. Stay up on the fasting. And think positive thoughts. Watch what you watch on television. Watch what you listen to in the media. Watch what you talk about. That can make people just as sick as the foods that they eat. Be mindful of the environments you go into. There's some filthy environments out there. And I know how germs work. I go out and pick up so-called germs from people so my immune system's always good and healthy. I go out in public, but I'm not going to just sit in some filthy environment just so I can test my immune system. Some nasty ass environment full of, grease and people, in lower frequencies and things like that. You got to be wise, my nobility. You got to be wise, especially those of us of spirit who are vibrating at faster paces. We got to be wise with what we eat, what environments go in, and what we do. Be still and know. Know thyself. Know thyself. Another part of being still too is when temptation comes, be still and do nothing. When the tempting moment arrives, be still and do nothing. It will eventually pass. This is one of my favorite lessons I ever learned from the teacher, KRS-One. When temptation arrives, be still and do nothing. It's simple. Oh, I'm so tempted. I'm so tempted. Just be still and do nothing. Wait for the tempting moment to pass. It might take longer at first, but the more you do it, the quicker it happens. Just let the tempting moment pass. Let the tempting moment pass. Guys got to get refocused. So many men, the mind is always on sex, and then that just depletes the energetic force and the energetic focus of the purpose. Get the mind focused on the purpose. What is your purpose? Tempting moments arrive, be still and do nothing. Just focus on your purpose. That's going to be part of your doing nothing. Just don't act on the impulses, the immature impulses of whatever the temptation is. Be still and do nothing in tempting moments. You see where the stillness is at, my nobility? Stillness is it. Let's read from the Tao Te Ching. I'll put it up here. This is the Tao Te Ching. This is verse 16. Not a very long reading. First, I put up the Chinese here just so we could admire the beauty of Chinese. Just look at the beauty of those letters. Just so magnificent. I just marvel at that. It's just so, maybe one day I'll just take the time to learn to write like that. Verse 16 from the Tao Te Ching. When we go to stillness, might as well go to the Eastern classics, the Tao. Attain to utmost emptiness. Cling single-heartedly to interior peace. While all things are stirring together, I only contemplate the return. For flourishing as they do, each of them will return to its root. To return to the root is to find peace. To find peace is to fulfill one's destiny. To fulfill one's destiny is to be constant. To know the constant is called insight. If one does not know the constant, one runs blindly into disasters. If one knows the constant, one can understand and embrace all. If one understands and embraces all, one is capable of doing justice. To be just is to be kingly. To be kingly is to be heavenly. To be heavenly is to be one with the Tao. To be one with the Tao is to abide forever. Such a one will be safe and whole even after the dissolution of his body. That constant, my nobility, I'm keeping it up here on the screen. To know the constant is called insight. To fulfill one's destiny is to be constant. To find peace, to fulfill one here. To return to the root, to find peace. To find peace is to fulfill one's destiny. To fulfill one's destiny is to be constant. That constant, my nobility, that is the stillness. To know the constant is called insight. If one does not know the constant, one runs blindly into disasters. If one does not know stillness, one runs blindly into disasters. If one knows the stillness, one can understand and embrace all. So watch how it changes with the word stillness, because what they're saying is constant could be translated as stillness. To find peace is to fulfill one's destiny. To fulfill one's destiny is to be still. To know the stillness is called insight. If one does not know the stillness, one runs blindly into disasters. If one knows the stillness, one can understand and embrace all. And see the step-by-step progression. You find peace, you fulfill your destiny. You fulfill your destiny, you find constant, the stillness. You find the stillness, you find insight. You forget the stillness, you find disaster. You know the stillness, the constant, you understand and embrace all. If you understand and embrace all, you're capable of doing justice. If you're capable of doing justice, you're kingly. If you're kingly, you're heavenly. If you're heavenly, you're at one with the Tao. And if you're at one with the Tao, you'll abide forever. And that's the one who will be safe and whole even after the dissolution of his body. That's how important the stillness is. This stillness, this constant, this progression, which starts with inner peace, it's here, it stays after the body's gone. When this body's dissolved, whoop, this body's just temporary energy construct. Once this body's gone, I still remain. I'm still the stillness that remains. We are still the stillness that remains after the body's gone. Be that, my nobility. Know thyself. Know thy true purpose. Know what you really are. All of that illusion of the outside world is great. I'm so grateful for the illusions and the distractions of the outside world and the so-called oppressor and the so-called colonizer, because all of their dastardly, dirty deeds has done nothing but create me to be stronger, more healthy, more faithful, more empowered, closer to my God. And that was the purpose the whole time, is to bring us closer to God through these so-called disasters that are happening right now. If your world is in a disastrous state, just know that God is calling you to be closer to God. And there it is, my nobility. Rise up and be still and know that God is God. And there it is. Hail! Word.